Yo. Getting this podcast started this early morning. Had to listen to a little ditty, get me in the mood. Not like that, this before the baby oil and everything, but listening to Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. That's a song. I know, I guess we're not supposed to be listening to Diddy in 2026, but I had to. I had to. That's one of my favorite songs. That's what I grew up on. That's what I that gets me pumped up, gets me going, you know. So it is what it is, I'm not going to stop listening to that. But on today's podcast, I kind of just wanted to dive into my relationship with money, right? I feel like I don't spend money like how a normal person would spend it. Like, no matter how much money I have, I always like still feel broke, right? And when I really think about it, it all stems from my car, which weirdly enough, that's like my pride and joy. That has been like my favorite hobby, my favorite thing, and the thing I look forward to the most in life. And it was the thing that hurt me the most, So let's get into it. Hello, good night. Thanks for tuning into Kareem's Dream. I am Kareem. And like I said, we're going to be talking about my relationship with money. All right. So going back, right? Back in, was that 2012? I moved in with my dad. He had just bought me a car for my 17th birthday. And at that point, it was just like, between my mom's house and my dad's house, he was the house that had the most, freedom, right? My mom was like, yo, you need to be back in the house by 8 o'clock, even on a non-school night. And I'm like, first of all, I really don't even go out like that. I don't even know where shit be popping off at. But I'm like, my license says 11, and my dad, he was on that type of time. He was like, I don't know why you asking me if your license says 11. So I was like, all right. During spring break of, what was that? That was my junior year in high school. I ended up moving out. It was some other stuff there. So it's not just like that one reason, but it just made more sense to move in with my dad. Like, I could always still go see my mom. And so I move out. He had, like I said, got me the car for my 17th birthday. And his whole thing was like, look, my dad did this for me. I had a car when I was 17. I'm going to do this for you. But this is it. Like, I'm not doing anything else past this. Like, I'll pay insurance and registration, but everything else, maintenance, whatever you do to the car, that's on you. Gas, that's on you. You got to go figure that out. Right. I ain't really think nothing of it, right? So moving in with my dad, right? He was giving child support to my mom. And when I moved out, he no longer was giving child support to her. And what he did instead was he was giving me some of that money, right? He like, look, I'm going to take some of this. I'm going to, take care of you, groceries, all that kind of stuff. But here's like your monthly allowance. So that way, I guess I could go live life. Now, mind you, I had a joint account with my dad, right? So like teenager parent account. So he could see all the stuff that I was doing. So at that point, I'm like, I had like Jimmy Jazz, and I was like buying everything on clearance. I'm like, yo, I'm about to get these shoes. These sneakers is hot. Like, I want these, this, that, and the third, trying to just look good. I'm like, yo, I got this car. Like, I need to look good for this car. And my dad would be watching my account, and, he see me spending. And he, now I know this, but at the time I didn't know. He going to teach me a lesson, right? So there was like a few times he was like, oh man, they were late on my check this week. I'm not going to get it until next week. And, it, as a 17-year-old doesn't have any work experience at this point. I'm like, you sound like you fucking lying. But I don't know anything, and I'm not going to challenge him because whatever my dad says, that's what goes, right? So he started doing that, and now I'm like, shit, I need gas money. I need this kind of money. Like, I can't go to the movies. I can't do this. I can't do that. So I'm like, all right, let me start saving a little bit, you know, let me put away for a little gas money, you know, nothing crazy, right? So first year driving a car, I get the car in February. In November, we had like this hurricane up in Jersey and Hurricane Sandy of that year. I, being reckless, being young, being inexperienced driving, I get into an accident, right? I hit my aunt's car and somebody hit me. So it's a 3-car accident that, you know, if I'm being honest with you, I wouldn't have said it back then, but if I'm being honest with you, I caused it. And so now my trunk is twisted up, can't get into my trunk. Front bumper is chewed up and my car looking crazy, right? And at this point, my dad, he's not really like the emotional, touchy-feely kind of, you know, Uncle Phil, Carl Winslow kind of dad. He just very much like, I'm a father. I put food on the table, roof over your head, and yeah, that's really it, right? Every now and then you might get a spark of emotion out of him, but he really don't be on that type of time. So after the accident, it was just kind of like, yo, is the car okay? Like, he ain't asked about me nothing. So again, my relationship with him was already kind of strained as, you know, I didn't really get that emotional side of my father. So I ain't really, you know, connect with him like that. And I was like low key afraid of him, if I'm being honest with you. So he was just like, yo, you know, I'm not fixing it. This is on you. This is your car. I got it for you. Like, now you need to figure out how to keep it. So, like I said, I ain't have no job at this point. I was just functioning off the money that my dad was giving me. And I wasn't really, you know, saving up for nothing like this, right? So, you know, I had to drive around with my trunk twisted up. And at this point now, I'm kind of forced into saving money, right? Because at the end of the day, like I said, my car is my pride and joy, and it's an extension of me. And it looking raggedy, like I look raggedy by extension, right? So I'm like, all right, I got to save this money. And at this point, like I was trying to, you know, go find a job and whatnot, but nobody wanted to hire me. I don't know if I was over experienced with no experience, but maybe I wasn't coming off like somebody interested in, you know, working at, let's say, White Castle. That's a place that I interviewed at, and I didn't get hired. So I am saving money. It's now was like April 2013. My dad helped me find like some parts on Craigslist, and at this point, it's like, all right, I'm like, look, I'm saving up money. I got to get this car fixed, right? So I get the parts put on, but I don't have enough to get it painted, right? My dad knows a guy that's into body work and painting and everything. So he hits me and is like, yo, meet me over at such and such shop, and we gonna get the car and the parts put on. And I'm like, bet. Now, you know, this is years ago at this point, but I remember it was kind of like, you know, you bring $100 and I got you on the rest. And I'm like, wow, you know, my dad is looking out for me. He's taking care of me. You know, what did I do to deserve this? And I got there, and maybe I misunderstood it, or I don't know, but my dad was like, he had the $100 and I was on the hook for the rest. And like, he chewed me out like, yo, you know, you don't pay attention, it's that and the third. Like, I told you to bring X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, shit, like that's everything that I got. That's my entire savings. Like, what you mean? Like, I'm like, all right, so, I like, he basically just transferred the money um, from me to him. And that was that. Like, my entire net worth was gone just to get my car put back together. Now, my car was like three different colors at this point. I had two black bumpers. It was like silver or beige trunk, and the body of the car was blue. Right. So I'm just here at this point, and mind you, I'm still within like just a little bit over a year of owning this car. So there was like little things I still didn't fully understand, like maintenance, right? Changing the oil, all that kind of stuff. Um, and looking back, I think I found out like recently that my car had issues with the head gasket. Like, they're known to like blow. Um, but I didn't know that at that point, right? So I was driving to a car show, me and my boy, and we're going, and me being who I am, I decided to push it. I want to see how fast I could get my little Civic. So I'm doing like 100, just blazing down the turnpike. And man, oh man, every single light came on the dash, the car lost power. And I'm like, oh shit, something's wrong. But I don't know what's wrong. And I'm like, I gotta get home. I gotta get home. Like, I had just more or less got on the parkway, so I wasn't that far, but I ended up like at some toll booths, and I'm like, I fucking bust a U-turn on the turnpike through, like, they had like some cones to divide the turnpike, and I bust a U-turn on it, and I'm just trying to drive home, and I got just close enough to the Garden State Parkway, and all I just see is just white smoke just blow out the exhaust. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I fucking broke my car. I didn't know what was happening at this point, but basically I blew the head gasket. Um, and I didn't find that out until like much later in life. But at that point, I just see white smoke. I've never seen anything like this before, and the car loses all power. And fortunately, I'm able to pull over safely. So hit my dad up. He's like, you're gonna have to get it towed. Um, I don't got no AAA. I don't got nothing, right? So I end up calling. I don't know if I called the police or what, like the non-emergency number. But there was like, basically, I end up actually making it onto the turnpike. Like, I mean, onto the parkway, just off the turnpike. And that saved me a little bit of money, because the guy was like, that ended up coming and told the car, he was like, yeah, if you were on the turnpike, it would have cost like an extra $300. And now looking back, I'm like, that's not that much for a working adult, but for a kid in college at this point, whose fixed income is $300 a month, that's, again, everything, right? So get the car towed. It basically cost me like 2 months worth of allowance, and I bring it to like the shop that all the family talks about and they go to and everything, because I didn't really know who else to bring it to. So I bring it to the shop. They hit me. It was like, oh, you need a new engine. I'm like, okay. I don't know how much that's going to cost. And basically it's like $500, right? I get the car back, check engine light is on, and like I'm plagued with issues. It runs rough. It is like shaking. I cannot figure this car out. Every 2 seconds, something's going on with the coolant. Um, you know, like the radiators is like messed up. Like it's always gunked and fouled up. Um, to this day, I still don't know what those issues are. So if you really into cars heavier than I am, please let me know. But it basically got to a point where I'm like having nightmares about this car. And I'm like, I'm waking up like, oh shit, is the radiator going to break again? Is something going to break again? What is wrong with this car? And I ended up finding another mechanic, and I'm just like, yo, this is going to cost me a lot of money again. I don't have it. I don't have it. This car is costing me so much money. And I find a new mechanic, I bring it to them, and within a day, they're like, all right, this is what it is. I want to say it was like the spark plugs. It was something like, you know, simple when they explained it to me, but I don't remember at this point. And I got the car back literally later that day. And at this point, like it was overheating. It was just so much stuff just wrong with it. Like driving to the mechanic shop, I had to turn the car off multiple times. Fortunately, it was like 30 degrees out, so it didn't overheat, but that shit was annoying as fuck. I get the car back. It's running smooth. Like this is the best I've ever, felt this car. And at this point, I'm just driving it. 2014 rolls around. I end up getting a car painted, which basically takes almost everything again. But this time, I was like, I wanted to do this. I was tired of having my car being three colors. So it wasn't connected to trauma. Like this was like a purchase I wanted to make, and I had the funds for it, even though it was going to take everything again. And at this point, I had a job. I was working in college, but my car being an automatic, I hated it. Switched, and I got another Civic, a 2006 Civic. It was a 5-speed. It was a manual. And at this point, I'm like looking around for cars, and end up taking a loan from my dad. Again, just to reiterate, this man said, I got you your first car. That's it. So in order to get the second car, I guess he might have felt bad, but seeing that all the issues that I was having, and I told him, because he gave me choice of like what kind of car do I want, and I told him I wanted it to be a manual, but that never happened. So at this point, like I said, I'm working. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna save up. I'm gonna get me a manual car, but I ain't have enough to get a manual car. So unfortunately, I had to take a loan from my dad. It was a 0% interest loan, which is a great thing as an adult. Like I would take that every day, 10 times out of 10. But at that point, it's just like, it's my dad. I don't want to take a loan out from him. Like, I don't want to have to owe him. Like, now he gonna hold this shit over my head. I do not want that. Now I'm paying off this loan to him, and I'm just working. Like, I finally see a comma in my account. And one night, I'm wilding out. I money shift. And if you don't know what a money shift is where you go from like fifth gear to like second gear. And the reason why it's called a money shift is because when you shift the gears, it's going to cost you money. And that's exactly what it did. It costed me money. All right. So car screams, I throw the clutch in, and I, get everything back under control. But I hear like a rattling. I'm like, shit, I don't know what's going on, but I hear a rattling. I continue to drive the car, and honestly, that's probably like my biggest issue. If every time I've had an issue with my car, I continue to drive it because it's going to cost me money to get this thing towed. looking back, is like, it's going to cost you money if you don't get it towed. Anywho, um, basically the speed sensor went and it cracked the transmission. I need a new transmission now. Again, I'm working at this point. Actually, I'm working 2 jobs at this point because I'm like, I need money. Every time I get money, something bad happens. And I had this little voice, the voice of my father in the back of my head saying, when it rains, it pours. So I'm like, all right, I just blew the transmission. I need a new one. What else is about to happen? Something bad is about to happen. And at this point, like, I'm crashing out. And, at this point, my girlfriend, who is now my fiance, but by the time you're hearing this, she'll be my wife. She was just like, oh, just ask your father. I'm like, man, you don't know my father like I know my father. You don't know my father. I can't just ask my father. I might as well just ask the devil. Like, this is legit how I'm feeling at this point, because I'm like, yo, he's gonna lecture me. He's gonna give me the story. He's gonna tell me about how when it rains it pours. Like, my dad is very pessimistic when it comes to money, and like his favorite saying that I even say now is prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? And that has helped me, a lot. And in terms of being like prepared for adulthood, but it basically put me into like this scarcity mindset, right? So I borrowed the money from him. Mind you, I'm still paying off the car. So now this tax on to what do you call it? My balance, right? So I owed maybe like $2,000-$3,000 at this point, plus an additional, I think it was like $600-$700 to get the transmission fixed. And mind you, at this point, here's what like that rain it pours kind of thing like happened. As soon as I decided to get an exhaust for my car and I think some wheels, this shit happens. So it's just like, yo, like, anytime I decide to have fun and do something that, or like spend money on something that I normally wouldn't, something bad happens with my car. So basically, this is kind of like teaching me and training me that I can't have fun, because if I have fun, it's going to cost me in a way that I don't want to be costed, right? So keep that in mind. I'm like 20 at this point, 21, right? And at this point, I haven't really done anything with my life. I haven't done none of the college stuff. Spring break. I never really was like the type of person to like really hang out. All my friends, including myself, were like squares, right? To put it in the perspective of like what you see on TV, like we're just chilling. Like, we stay at the house. We, like, my version of hanging out is I'm gonna go to my man's house, his mom, his dad, whoever, they gonna cook. We gonna, chill in his room. We gonna play some video games, and then I'm gonna go home. And that's a great night for me. And that has been more or less my high school and college, time, right? I didn't do anything. And now I definitely am not doing anything, because if I decided to go, let's say, to Miami for spring break, more than likely my car is going to break. And that money that I spent in Miami, I now need to borrow it from my dad. And now it's just like, I shouldn't have went to Miami. So instead of taking opportunities to go find myself, I got anxiety. when it comes to money, and I don't go do anything, right? So fast forward 2018, graduating college, I get a job out in Texas, and I moved to Texas. This is the first time I'm on my own, and I pay my dad off. Once I end up getting paid from work, and I got my apartment. At this point, I was like busting my ass. Like I was working, saving. I'm like, yo, I I'm basically on my own, right? Even though my dad will always be like, he got like mad money, he da da da. He always made sure that I understood that it's his money, not my money. So again, I'm like, I can't go to my dad. It's like, I would rather go to the devil because, at that point, it's just like my relationship with him was strained because I felt like I couldn't rely on him to do the things that I saw like from TV dads or from dads of friends, cousins, family members in my circle. I'm like, everybody's dad is better than mine. You could talk to your dad, you could do this with your dad will help you out. That my dad wasn't that guy. And when I moved to Texas, this is the first time that I'm on my own. And I'm like, I can't fail. No one is going to bail me out. My dad isn't going to bail me out. My mom isn't going to bail me out. No one is, I cannot depend on anybody but myself, right? I am my own safety net, and I'm determined to not fail. And what that means is I'm going to go to work, I'm going to come home, I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to repeat the cycle. Only thing I'm really doing is getting groceries. And at this point, I started like going like to comedy shows because I was like really interested in that. Um, I ended up selling my second Civic, the one I ended up like driving from New Jersey to Texas, the one that I blew the transmission in. I ended up getting an SI because I was like, I need something a little bit more power, and things were going like pretty good. But at this point, it's just like the reason why they're going really good is because I'm not spending money on stupid shit, right? Quote unquote. I'm saving my money. I'm living my life as financially responsible as possible. Buying my SI was very calculated. I knew how much it was going to be out the door. I knew that I was going to apply extra money to the principal. I was so prepared. Like my late teens and basically all of my 20s, I was a 30-year-old father with no kids. That's how I was living my life. I and my fiance, she would always like shake something up because in my opinion, she's like the opposite of me in that regard. She's like, she actually lived a little bit of life. She actually, you know, experience, go to clubs, go to, parties, that kind of stuff. And I'm just in my little bubble, at home, sitting on my couch, watching TV. That's my idea of, having fun. Maybe I'll take my car out to a car show. But yeah, not I didn't really do too much, right? And I basically just missed my entire like young adulthood. Now, at this point, COVID hits. Everybody is like going crazy. Obviously, besides the fact of, COVID, but it's like, oh, we're stuck in the house, bored in the house, stuck in the house, bored in the house. And it's just like, I'm in my prime now. Like like Bane, like I've been molded by this, I, I don't even know the saying, but I'm not even gonna try. I'm basically prepared for this moment. I'm going to show y'all how it's done. So at this point, I'm taking a little bit of luxuries to. I finally started like owning the fact that I like to stay in the house, and now I'm, like buying a VR headset and adding some small upgrades to my computer because I'm like, yo, if I'm in the house, I'm gonna have fun in the house. It is what it is, right? But I still didn't really, do anything, right? Like I just was just in the house. Then, as COVID is passing or, as we're going through COVID, I end up getting another job. At this point, like I finally hit making six figures. That's something like I strive for. Like I'm like I want to make six figures. Like everybody, like it hit different when you like yo I make six figures, right? But that meant absolutely nothing because even though I was making six figures and I'm making way more than I'm spending, I still had a hard time spending the money because I'm like, I have this anxiety that when it rains, it pours. And if I decide to go wild out and do some crazy shit, go upgrade my car, drop 10K on it, I'm gonna need that 10K for something. And it's like I should have, prepared myself. Um and it really just it affects everything, even up until this point. Like it is 2026 now, and I make a lot more now than I have ever made, right? And I can do all the stuff that I've always wanted to do, but I still penny pinch, if I'm being honest with you, right? Like, there's only a few instances of I'm going to splurge, right? So it's like comedy shows. I really don't even be into my car at this point the way I used to, or like tech upgrades. But it everything is about utility, right? Oh, I'm gonna get the latest iPhone because it has USB-C, not because I'm getting the latest iPhone or because I want the latest iPhone. Oh, I'm gonna go get a massage, not because I like getting massages. It's just like I'm stressed out. My body is hurting and I need a massage now. I didn't just go do this because it was a self care day. Like I waited until like I actually needed to do this. And, it has affected not just me, but also my relationship. We have went to couples therapy. I've that's a topic for another episode. But even like my fiance or wife, again, I'm gonna keep saying that because by the time you hear this, um, she was very much like we're both 100% in this relationship, and if you down and I'm up, I got you. And I was very much the same. It's like if you down and I'm up, I got you. But for me, it was always like I gotta do 200% because at the end of the day, it's like I start seeing those luxuries, those increases in a lifestyle as I start making more money. It's like, oh, you want the bigger apartment, or you got the bigger house, or you got the better car, or more luxury car. Um, And it's just like I can't let the like lifestyle like scope creep happen, and I still got to fend for myself. Like, even though we're together, I can't depend on you. I have to be independent. So, we had got a house, and I'm like, I got to be able to afford this house on just my salary alone. I can't depend on your salary, because what happens if you lose your job? I need to be the one, to take care of this. And, inadvertently, I'm also thinking from her perspective, like, if I lose this too, you need to be able to take care of this. Like, we can't go get a house that we can only afford if we have two incomes. We can only get a house that we can afford on one income. And it gets to a point where it's just like, she has slowly been chipping away at me and making me, spend more on the things that I actually enjoy and the things that I want rather than the things that I need. Because early in our relationship, it more or less was just like, hey, we, let's say taking a trip somewhere. I'm looking at it for wherever I could take a shower at and lay my head. That's it. That's my only criteria. I don't care about nothing else. Oh, and make sure they don't got no bed bugs. Like, don't want that. So I'm not going bottom of the barrel, but it ain't best either. It's like a 2.5 star, 3 star kind of place, and I struggle with that because she be like, hell no, I'm not going there, and I'm just like, to me, that's you telling me that any place that I pick is not good enough for you. Kind of wasn't, right? Like, now I look back and I'm kind of like bougie now, like, oh, I can't go to that place because of X, Y, and Z, thanks to her. But at that point, it's just like, bro, like, 150 a night, $200 a night, you are bugging. Like, you know what I could do with $200 a night? Like, I could get groceries. Like, that's like the mindset that I was in. I mean, I'm not even gonna say was, still kind of am, depending, right? I still feel in certain instances that I still need to be mindful of my spending, right? And in the next episode, I'm gonna kind of talk about, like, more or less what getting married looks like for me, and like what that process has been, because that's a whole nother layer to this onion that I had to like peel back and like really come to terms with, because a wedding is expensive as fuck if you ain't know. All right. But yeah, honestly, my relationship with money is a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because I'm very disciplined and I'm very like doomsday prepared when it comes to, you know, financial planning. I'm like, I'm 31. I'm already thinking about, like, what happens if I die? Do I have enough money to leave behind for my wife? I like saying that. I love saying wife. It is amazing. This is the most excited I've been. But am I making sure she's in a good spot financially? Could she pay off the house if I were to die? Like, all like these different little things. But it's a curse because there are times where I can't like just really relax and enjoy. And anytime like I feel like I'm getting complacent or comfortable, and like the smallest inconvenience, it just sets me back into like the stone ages where I'm just thinking dark, and it's just like, I knew I shouldn't have splurged. I shouldn't have been frivolous. I should have been more prepared. I shouldn't have taken this risk. Right? Like, I'm at a point now financially where I can start hey, I want to start a business. Hey, I want to, go invest in something, like, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle to want to do that, even though I know I can. And if I'm being honest with you, it don't really help that I got ADHD, because it's like it's already hard enough to act. And now I got this money thing on in the back of my mind making me afraid to act. And it's like, bro, I just overthink everything to begin with. And here we are. So I'm like between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, I needed to get this episode out because you need this kind of context and backstory to understand like the decisions that have more or less put me into the position that I'm in right now. And, as the episodes continue to be recorded and put out there, everything will just make sense, where you could kind of just loop back to this episode and be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see why. But yeah, man, that's, that's all I got for this episode. I just want to say thanks again for tuning into Kareem's Dream. And, I can't wait to chat with you in the next one. Peace.